Well, I guess this video is a reminder to those of you who might think that consuming more content equates to doing more in real life. Because I've been in this exact position before, to the point where I thought, is it actually worth the time that I'm spending? Am I getting returns for the time I'm spending here? And honestly, the answer was no. As much as I was spending so much time, some days it was 3 to 4 hours a day, spending my time listening to motivational content, it did not equate to 3 to 4 hours of time productively spent. You know why that was? It was simply because that was information I already knew beforehand. So what was I really learning? Was I learning anything new? Was there something I could take away from this experience, from that certain video, that I could go on and say, well, there is something new I learned. Now I can implement this. I can potentially change my life. The truth is, for most of the videos that you see out there, the actual answer is no. And sometimes it might be your brain coping and saying that there is actually something that I'm learning, but in truth, there isn't actually anything that you're learning. So what is the problem out there? Why is this content not actually perfect for you? Sometimes people don't give you the real answers, right? And that is what we're going to talk about in this week's video. Okay, let's use our brains here for a second. We all know that nobody knows the solution to every single problem on the earth. So you can't expect one person to have the answer for everything. We agree with that. Every single person, whether that's you, whether that's me, whether that's some established YouTuber, every single person will go back to YouTube for answers to solve their problems, or Reddit, or Google, whatever. They go back to the internet for consultation. You'll see pretty soon, let's say they take that advice, they're coming back again for even more advice. Now, if people are coming back for advice after gaining advice, what do you think is the problem there? If they are coming back, that probably means that the information out there is not probably satisfiable and it's not helping you actually change things in your life. Or in other words, let me just simplify it all. Essentially, they do not give you the actionable steps, the real actionable steps you can take to solving your problems. And I know many people will complain that either number one, there aren't actionable steps for everything. I agree. But if there aren't any actionable steps and you keep going back to the exact same advice which the initial YouTuber, the initial Reddit poster posted on their platforms, which was not good to begin with. Why did you go after that? Why do most people go after this? Because clickbait. If I'm going to be authentic, if I'm actually going to give real advice, to actually come up with a solid plan, it's going to be difficult. And what's my motivation for doing this anyway? And this is the reason why most people don't give you solid, straightforward answers. Because there are some cases where that's not possible. But in most cases, if you really think hard enough, there's always a solid solution which could work, which could lay the template out for you. I'm not saying that you have to give out the entire answer, right? Buy that playbook and you follow that playbook every single day. No, I'm just talking about a template which somebody else could follow. Why I say this is because I have been here before where I was looking for this template, so to say, and there was nobody to give that because everybody gives you the same kind of answers. And you know what? When you keep listening to the same advice again and again and again, and it actually does not change anything, that's when it really pisses you off because you think, well, I've actually spent all this time trying to change things, but at the end of the day, my life is still the same because the advice that I followed, it might be true, but was it deeply thought through to the point where if I implement this, my problem would actually be solved, and not just like 10% of my problem is solved, but rather maybe let's say 70% or 80% of my problem is solved. That is where most people get it wrong because they do not go in depth. And why is that? That can be, from what I've done research about, it can be down to two things. So number one, what they do is they go on YouTube, they go on Instagram, they go on TikTok, and they look up the latest trends. So they see, okay, what's trending right now? Consistency is trending now. So why don't I just make a video about consistency? So what are they going to say to you in that video about consistency? They're going to probably tell you, well, if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, right, eventually you'll get there. Well, that's true, right? I'm not gunning them down. That is true. But imagine somebody who's gone through a lot of struggle, right? And you are not telling him, just keep going and you will get there. Eventually, one day, you are going to get there. But he probably has been trying to go there all the time. He has been appearing day in, day out. But things are just not changing for him. So then, when you think about it, that isn't probably a well-thought advice for this young individual. Because sure, right, when you think of it superficially, he has to keep going again and again and again. And eventually he's going to get there, obviously. There's more to life than just keep going at it again and again and again. The thing is, sometimes you need a plan in place and then you keep going at that plan. You keep repeating that plan again and again and again. So what is that plan? Sometimes a plan isn't too hard to formulate. But the thing is, some people have not thought that far because maybe, just maybe, they do not have that capacity to think that far. So if you, let's say, are a YouTuber, or if you are somebody who carries some social value, what you have to do is, as part of your responsibility of putting out content, don't give the same superficial answers just because you can trend on YouTube for a day or maybe a month or a week, whatever. Because what's more important is that the other person understands what you're trying to say, so that the other person can connect or relate with what you're saying, or in fact, he can implement what you are saying and then make his life better. This is why I try to make my channel as much as possible relatable and with quick, easy steps that you guys could maybe follow to have a little bit of a change in your life. Because there's so many people I've seen who, when I was maybe 15 or 16, I tried to look for advice, but guess what? Nobody told me the answer. Well, I had to find a few things out for myself. I'm still on the journey. I still don't know half the things that I'm doing, but I'm in a much better position than I was when I was 15 or 16, when I was just begging for some advice, some template that I could follow so that I could be successful one day. But guess what? There was no such thing because people were just safeguarding it. And that brings me to my second reason why information isn't probably available to you as you'd like to have it. That is because some people like to safeguard all their crucial and their actual actionable steps under a course. Like I've mentioned this in multiple videos already. You could find it on my channel somewhere. But some people do put their actual valuable advice behind a course. But there are so many people I've seen, when you actually try to implement this advice, it does not really work out well, because what they are saying to you is probably in halfway true, but the YouTuber or the explainer, whoever that is, could go much more into detail to have a better explanation to what they're actually trying to convey, instead of just going over things superficially. So now in 2021, like I alluded to before, wasn't the best time in my life, I'll be honest, because things were going up and down. We had the COVID lockdown and everything. So pretty much we were stuck at home and there was not much to do, right? Because anywhere you go outside, it wasn't like other countries. I know some other countries were just open to do whatever they liked. But over here, I was becoming way more antisocial than I was before. Just because you think about it, you lock a kid up for 1.5 years, what do you think is going to happen eventually? Well, they're probably going to lose some social skills, especially if they're not interacting with their friends and classmates as much as they used to before. So it came to the point where I was watching these self-improvement videos way more often, and that pretty much became half my life. Nobody really listened to classes back then. So we would have classes running here, and I would be listening to self-improvement videos because, I'm trying to change my life and all that. And so that was pretty much half my life back then. And now that I come to this point in 2024, I think back to it and I think, well, that was probably the best thing and the worst thing that ever happened to me. Why that is? Because it was probably the best thing that happened to me, because that was the switch that I needed. That literally told me to change things, because I've been seeing all these videos, so I've been saying, okay, people are doing stuff, so I need to kind of emulate them. That's how I started exercising, and there were a few good habits that came with that, I'll be honest. But the negative that came with that was I became addicted to the fact that I was watching self-improvement videos, and then it came to the point where I started thinking I'm actually doing something with my life because I'm watching these videos. I'm actually fulfilling everything. So it's not like you have to implement the advice right there, but whatever you're listening to is as good as you're doing the thing. That is where I went wrong, and I'm pretty sure many people out there have gone through. Maybe you have gone through this exact same experience where you consume all these videos and then you realize, not now, not maybe in a month, not maybe 6 months, but maybe a year later, you realize all this was really for nothing. Because maybe within a month, you already knew what was being said. But the fact that you kept going back again and again and again, listening to the same videos, listening to the same people saying the same things, not actual advice that could change your life, but it's just repetitive nonsense after a while in your head. So when it comes to that point, that is when you should realize I should let go of a few things. I should let go of self-improvement videos for a while. Because this fake illusion that you are learning something when you're listening to one of these videos, but you're not actually implementing the advice, that is the worst part of this whole journey. And this is not a dig at all self-improvement videos, because there are so many creators who do good work. But let's be honest, some people do not have substance to what they're saying. Some people just want to get on the trend, and so that they can get on the trend, they'll talk about the same kind of nonsense that you see on the internet. And all this for what? Like for a short dopamine rush or something that you can chase temporarily, but nothing for the long term, is it? Because I can imagine a kid who was in my situation, who's just watching self-improvement videos again and again and again. After a while, it's not as fun as it used to be. Because after that, you realize that whatever you're doing right now is only temporarily working. But in the long run, you realize, there were videos that I saw that would tell me that you focus now, you work now, and you don't look at anything, right? Whether your friends are enjoying, do not look at that. And then they say, once you've done all this, when you're in your 30s and your 40s, you'll be on yachts, you'll be enjoying your life, right? With all the pleasures that you can imagine. But is that really what you want though? That you have to think about that, because that's something I did not think about. Because when this dream is presented to you, you feel, oh, that's actually a pretty cool dream. At what cost though? Because I always imagine this one scenario in my head whenever I think, oh, that's actually a good idea. Eventually, let's say you make it, right? At the age of 40, you've made it, and you're at the beachside. You know this image that people have in their head of the ideal vacation where, you're sitting by the beachside and the sun sets and you're reminiscing about life. So let's say you are at that scene, right? So that's the moment where you have realized that you made it. But let's say that your life was work, right? Now, what are you going to be remembering in that moment? When you think back to, okay, I did all this and then now I'm here. But let's say you don't have people around you because you made work your life. You do not engage in quality relationships with other people around you, your family, your friends, and you do not actually have a time to think about later. Because if you think about your life for the last 15 to 16 years, you're not going to remember anything other than work. So, don't you think you want something to remember while you're at that beachside? If nothing else, you want to remember something when you're already there. That is why I always advocate for setting time for fun as well. You need that fun. Without fun, what are you working towards? Ultimately, the reason that you want to make money, the reason that you're working now is because one day you're going to get to the point where you can technically have fun, whatever fun is for you. So if fun is your final goal, then you might as well have some fun on the way so that you have some memories. Because at the end of the day, right, on our last day, all we are is just a skeleton which once existed and had memories. So our thoughts and everything just exists in memories, experiences that we participated in. We will live on only in people's heads and what they perceived of us, like the memories they had with us. If you never had that, then I don't care what you earned, what status you reached. All that is going to matter at the end of the day is the memories that you had with the people close to you. And that is what you want to build, guys. It doesn't matter what else people talk about. It's that one thing. It's memories and making sure that there's a balance between your work and your fun. Do not ignore fun. Trust me, guys. Now, it does not matter who it is, right? Whoever it is that you see on TikTok or YouTube or Instagram, do not take every single word that comes out of their mouth as the gospel. Basically, do not assume that everything that they say is 100% true. You know why? Because as much as the advice might seem accurate at that point, they have not lived your life. They do not have the same experiences as you. So if they do not have the same experiences as you, they cannot tailor the perfect advice to you unless they know your life story. And most of the advice that you see out there is this superficially tailored advice. So what you need to do is make your own templates. Do not make answers, make templates. Find templates. People who have made templates of solutions to their problems, and then you adapt it according to what you want. And if you guys don't find any other channel, then I guarantee you, just put it down in the comments, some problem that you guys are facing, and I will make sure to make a template for you guys, because at the end of the day, what we all want is answers, but you need to do some of that work for yourself as well, because if somebody else is going to do it for you, the work is probably not going to match what you really want. And so if you guys enjoyed this video, then you might want to check out the video linked on the right for more advice just like this. So smash subscribe, slap a like on, and always remember, never stop dreaming. See you all.